We're talking to Miss Carrie M. Gentry, and she's talking about a profile of her life and some of the things that she has been involved in. And of course, Miss Gentry, I think before we had our second commercial break, you were talking about the Peach Bowl Classic, or is it the Orange Bowl Classic?
The Orange Bowl Classic in Miami.
Good. In Miami, Florida, which was one of the things that African-American football teams participated in for the first time.
Absolutely. Well, the Orange Bowl back in those days was similar to the Super Bowl nowadays. That was the Super Bowl among the black universities. So with Tennessee State University having not lost a game during that year, and Florida A&M always having a super football team, they were the ones who were selected to play in the Orange Blossom Classic. Well, we at Tennessee State University were just very, very excited but nervous at the same time, because the first time, yes, that they had participated in the Orange Blossom Classic, my husband, the first year of his being a head football coach and going down there to play against Florida A&M, his old alma mater, and his old football coaches, it was quite an exciting time. But nevertheless, we got together and we went down there, and we had a contingent of supporters following from Tennessee State University, and we went down there to the Orange Bowl and tried to enjoy those things that they were doing preceding the game the night before, but we were too nervous to really enjoy them. But nevertheless, we went to the game the next day, and I'm going to say something about the band here. Florida A&M always had just a terrific band, and back in those days, even more so than in this day and time. They were noted for their step, that little fast step that they do, and all the other movements that they would make. So I was sitting up in the stand beside Dr. Bartley. I don't know if you remember her or not, but she was head of department at Health and Physical Education at Tennessee State University at that time. So we were sitting up in the stands, and we could hear the people all around us. They were excited about Florida A&M's band coming on the field, and Florida A&M performed, and then it was time for our band to perform. And we could hear the folks saying, "Now let's see what they are going to do." Well, from the first note that our band blew, and the first step that they took out on the field, the folks sat up in the stands, and they started looking, and we could hear them saying, "Why, they are good too." In other words, we had a terrific band. We had a terrific band back there then, as we do now, have a terrific band. But anyway, that little thing I wanted to say, the people down there. And incidentally, there were 40,000+ people there, thinking about Dr. Davis and his view, his farsightedness. That down there at that game, there were 40,000 or more people there. There were blacks on one side and whites on the other, but there were beyond 40,000. That's right. So the game went on, and what do you know? We won that game.
Won the game.
That was the Orange Blossom Classic in 1956. And incidentally, this year, 2006, is the 50th year for that championship game. So I think at homecoming they're going to recognize that at Tennessee State University.
Very good.
And invite all of those who are still living and able to come back for that 50th
anniversary of the Orange Blossom.
of the championship football team that played in the Orange Blossom Classic. And my husband was named Coach of the Year that particular day and that particular year. And incidentally, while everybody was excited and celebrating after the game, one of these student coaches said to my husband told us this, and others also, that this student coach said, "Coach, I'm sorry for you." And of course my husband said to him, why are you sorry for me? So he said, "You don't have any place to go but down."
That's right.
So, because he had reached the pinnacle then. But I'm proud to say here that no, he didn't go down. He continued to go up.
And that's why his name is on so many things out at on the campus of Tennessee State University. Yes. You know, also, Mr. Gentry, we know that you have been involved in politics, and indeed at a time when not only women were not involved in politics, but black people in general were not involved in politics. Let's talk about some of your political experiences and some of the breakthroughs that you were able to achieve during that time.
Well, let me tell you what happened to me and to Inez Crutchfield. Back, I don't really remember the year, but it was in the 60s. I can't remember the lady's name who asked Inez to come to a Democratic women's meeting downtown at the what was the hotel down there downtown?
One that Hermitage?
Hermitage, maybe the Hermitage, but I'm not positive right now. But that's where they were holding their meetings, and there were several of them in there, including Annabelle Clement and some others whose names you might remember here. Several of them were ready to integrate the Democratic Women's Club of Davidson County. Not all of the members, but a few. So one had asked Inez to come to a meeting. So Inez told them that if Carrie will go with me, I'll go, I'll come. So sure enough, Inez and I went downtown to the, let's say it was the Hermitage Hotel, and we were very, very, very uptight and not too comfortable at all going in the front door of that hotel, not the back door, but the front door of that hotel, and into the area where they were having the meeting. When we were introduced as in that meeting and as possible members, you could hear a pin drop. But as I've heard Inez tell this at a meeting sometime in recent times, and I remember this, it was very, very quiet after we were introduced, but Annabelle Clement spoke up and said, "Isn't this nice?"
All right now.
So that sort of broke the ice.
Very good.
And we felt a little bit more comfortable in there. But the first meeting or so, it was not the most comfortable thing in the world, but we did, of course, remain, and we did go to the meetings afterwards, and Inez became the first black president of the Davidson County Democratic Women's Club, and I became the second black president of the Davidson County Democratic Women's Club. But since that time, like many other things here in the city, things have progressed.
Very good.
They have gotten better than they were. There are quite a number of black women in the Democratic Women's Club in this present day. So that has improved. A lot of other things have improved in Nashville, Tennessee. All things are not as they should be, but nevertheless they've improved
But you've had an opportunity over the many years to watch the kind of progress that people, and a lot of folks don't seem to be able to appreciate that, Ms. Gentry. You've always been involved in bringing out the vote and talking about, why don't you say something about the importance of the vote from your perspective over the last minute and a half that we have here?
Oh, absolutely. The people that you want to be in office cannot get in office unless you support them. And by support, I mean financially, as well as going out to vote. Your vote, your one vote, is tremendously important, but in order for that candidate to be elected, I would suggest that you need to take about a dozen more by the hand and take them on with you, because there are so many out there who are not going to take the time to go to the polls unless they are just sort of encouraged to go. And the main thing is to remember that in order for people to be elected, that you have to go and vote for them. I think about who would have ever thought, talking about Nashville, Tennessee, who would have ever thought that Howard Gentry Jr. Would be vice mayor at this particular time. Certainly back there in the 60s, we did not visualize that, but we knew that if we worked hard at whatever it was that we were involved with, that it would get better. And that one day it might get to be the way that it should be.
Very good. And of course, Mr. Gentry, let me thank you over the last 10 or 15 seconds that we have here for that excellent information and that excellent profile. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.